Hi everyone, my name's Haley. My pronouns are they and them, and I'm here in beautiful Ireland. Today I want to talk a little bit about how I, as an American-born, American-trained family medicine physician, managed to get over here to Ireland to work as a GP for all of you Americans who are trying to do the same. This video will apply not only to American family medicine physicians trying to get over to Ireland as a GP, but really any American physicians, family medicine or not, trying to get over to any other country to work as a physician. The initial steps that I talk about in this video apply to all. Disclaimer for this video, it's not meant to substitute professional or legal guidance and not be the end-all be-all script for how to come over as a working physician in another country. It's merely a documentation of my experience up to this point, about how I went about it, and hopes to help guide any other folks who are trying to do the same, because I know it was a bit of a difficult and not information forward process. Are you ready? Also note that timelines, processes, requirements, etc. might change really at any time, so it's important to reference your institutions to get the most up-to-date information. Just for reference, like I said before, I'm an American-born US citizen. I have a Doctor of Medicine, an MD, from a US state medical school, and I am a board-certified American family physician from the ABFM. So all of that informs how this process worked for me. The first thing that you need to do is decide where you want to go if you're looking to leave, and specifically for us it was choosing a country that recognized my degree as an American trained family medicine physician that spoke English, and so that was the UK, Ireland, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. For myself and my spouse, we really were focusing in on Ireland and Canada, and I started the process pursuing both of those until I eventually settled in on Ireland. As I said, this video, which talks about primary source verification, will apply to anyone applying to any and all of those countries that I listed. Sorry for the scene change. We had to move due to the infamous Irish weather, so welcome to our little Irish cottage. One thing that I found really beneficial and that I implore you to consider is reaching out and getting connected with a recruiter early on. Both Ireland and Canada have free recruitment services that are, I found, extremely beneficial. Help with license verification, which is what I'm talking about in this video, as well as getting registered with a appropriate medical counsel, job hunting, interview prep, as well as immigration support once you actually get a job offer. Personally, when I was looking at Canada, I was looking at BC, British Columbia. Each province has its own recruitment authority. In British Columbia, it's Health Match BC. They were wonderful. And then I also worked with the FRS Recruitment in Ireland. There are a bunch of different ones. I'm not, being sponsored by any of them. These are just the ones that I found personally helpful in my journey. One expectation I had to really tamper down on when I started this process was how long it actually takes. I was told somewhere between 6 and 12 months for both Canada and Ireland. All in all, we started this process in November, and I didn't actually have the credentials and everything to start working in Ireland until August. So if that gives you a timeline, that was about 9 to 10 months. So really from A to Z, it can be quite a wait. And unfortunately, I haven't found a way to shorten that time. There was a few things that I needed to start this process. One was access to a printer, access to a scanner. In my case, I just used a scanning app on my phone, which was fine. Access to a video cam, a passport style photo dated in the last 6 months, the passport in and of itself, and then notarized copies of my original diploma of medicine. So that's my doctorate of medicine diploma from my medical school, as well as my residency diploma and the diploma from the American Board of Family Medicine stating that I had specialty in that. And so I needed those 3 notarized colored copies. And then lastly, I needed money. So it does cost about $100 to create an account with Epic for the source verification, and then an extra $100 for each credential that you need to get verified. So in this case, it was those 3 things, total of $400 for me. So all of these international medical councils, Ireland, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, you name it, require something called primary source verification. That's where you verify the authenticity of your credentials with its source. So for me, that was verifying that my medical diploma was actually real and that my diploma for my residency was real, etc. All of those councils did it through the ECFMG website to create something called EPIC, or an electronic portfolio of international credentials. So now I'm going to take you to the ECFMG website, to their various web pages that show the requirements needed for different steps of the credentialing process and how I navigated it to upload my credentials. All right, here we are at the ECFMG website. Funnily enough, this is the website that international medical graduates, or IMG applicants, use to verify their credentials to go through the ARIS application for U.S. residency. So you will see some stuff regarding that here. We're not using it for that service. So this is their homepage here. And EPIC is what you'll be using here. So you'll go to programs, and then it will list all of their different programs that they offer. And what we will be using is the EPIC portfolio of international credentials. Okay, and this is the main website here for the EPIC. My End Health is what you're gonna need in order to start this process. So there's a couple different steps here. The first step really is gonna be to get that account and then to verify your identity. I did want to point out that on this main page for the electronic portfolio of international credentials, when you scroll down, and I do wish they kind of made it more obvious, you can actually find a section that says EPIC partner organizations, and that's where you're going to find the different medical councils. So there's a bunch of different medical councils that require EPIC verification in order to register a physician to their service. All of these, including General Medical Councils for UK. Obviously, we have the Australian Medical Council here. We have down here the Medical Council of Ireland and the Medical Council of Canada and New Zealand. So really a bunch of different medical councils. And if you were to click on one, now say Ireland, since that was the one I was ended up doing, and you were to scroll down, you can see specifically what credentials are required. It depends on which medical council you are applying to, which credentials are required. So in the case of Ireland, I only needed 3 verified through EPIC, one being my medical diploma for my Doctor of Medicine, another being my basically residency training attestation. I used my diploma for my residency. And then lastly was the specialist qualification in EPIC, which I used my ABFM diploma for. So, but you can do that and go through each one, Canada, etc., to see what is required, because there are a few different things that they actually can verify through EPIC, and so please do reference that. I only needed 3. I don't know what you will need in your process. All right, so you're ready to create this account. In order to create the Mind Health account, you're going to have to go to Online Services Overview. It will have guides and resources for how to go into it. There's a how-to video here. What I really want to talk about here is the things that you need to have ready beforehand. So this is where that passport style photo that I mentioned comes into place, as well as the passport itself. They talk about the requirements for these photographs, give examples, same with the passport. And so at that point, once you've gathered all this, you can actually submit your request to create this account. Please do bear in mind, it takes a few days. For me, it took about 3 business days. I think it was 6 actual total days because there was a weekend before they actually approved my application. And from there, I actually had to do the notarization online notary cam video in order to verify my identity. You've made it. You've made your My InTeLth account. You're in the portal. You're excited. You've verified your identity. You're ready to go. So now is the point where you actually are going to be submitting your credentials through Epic in order to get them verified. This process was a little bit more daunting than I thought it would be in terms of how much time really it took. But you're going to go here over to More, click on Epic, and then it talks a little bit about different credentials, just like the ECFMG website. You're going to go to credential verification, okay? And then from there, you're going to go to credential verification request. At this point, you'll have paid some money, so there will be money ready to use. It's $100 per credential that you want to get verified. So you say add credential. Say you want to add your medical school diploma. And so you type in final medical diploma, you type in whatever your medical school is. I didn't go here, but let's say I went to Boston. So I'll say, yes, I want to upload. This is where I'm going to. Now this is the institution that they are then, the Epic portfolio folks are then going to submit your diploma that you've submitted to them to Boston. Say, hey, do you recognize this person, this diploma? And then they will say yes, and then it will be verified. And so it's kind of, that's what primary source verification is. It can take a little bit more time than you'd expect, okay? It says final medical diploma already exists here because I've already submitted mine to a different institution than the one I went to. But once you submit this diploma, it can take 7 to 10 business days just for the InTeLth portal to be like, hey, we received it. And then they're going to send it off to whatever institution. In this case, we chose Boston. They're going to send it off to them, and it can take however long it takes them to verify. So in the case of my medical school, it took them 4 weeks from the time that Epic processed my application and sent it on to them to verify. It took 4 weeks for them to say, yes, we know Haley. Yes, Haley got this degree from us. And then after that, it took about 3 business days for Epic to actually approve it and say it's verified. In the case of ABFM, it took 5 weeks from the point that I, hit submit, 7 to 10 business days, it was processed, and then 5 weeks after that, ABFM had verified it. And so it can take a little bit of time. It really depends on whatever institution you have here, however long it takes them. So if you're, a squeaky wheel, perhaps you can get it done quicker. But it did take a lot longer than I expected. It took me about 6 to 8 weeks in total for me to get all 3 of the required documentation I needed to get verified through Epic. So once you've, uploaded your credential, stated what institution it came from, etc., at the very end, right before you submit the credential for verification, it asks you which organization you would like the verification sent to once it's verified. In my case, I chose the Medical Council of Ireland, which meant the moment that credential was verified, 6 to 8 weeks later, but the moment it was verified, it was sent electronically to the Medical Council of Ireland, so they had it ready, and that just made the process a lot smoother when it came to the Medical Council. I do think it asked me to pay additional money if I wanted to send it to additional council. So say I wanted to send it to both the Australian Medical Council and the Medical Council of New Zealand because I wasn't sure. I do think it was asking me to pay an extra fee. Don't quote me on that, but I do feel like I remember that. I think the $100 is like per for one, sending it to one specific medical council. So you will need to do this for the Medical Council of Ireland. This entire process is required before you can even create an account with the Irish Medical Council. And so it's unfortunately something that has to be done before even starting that. Thank you so much for watching my first video on YouTube, and I hope future ones are a bit more polished. I hope this helps as you move along your journey to relocate from the US to another
country as a physician.